Remember those Hot Wheels kits you played with when you were a kid? The little looped tracks you used to assemble and race your little cars on? Now imagine Hot Wheels made a movie about that. Well, they made 5. Let's talk about it. Are forms going to be Pokemon's newest recurring gimmick? Spider-Man is now officially out of the MCU. Should Crash Bash get a remaster? Do you remember Splashdown Rides Gone Wild? So what do gamers really want from the next console generation? Invader Zim enter the Florpus. When in the world is GTA 6 going to drop? Let's talk about it. What's going on, guys? J.Bandicoot here, back with another video, and today we're talking about the long-forgotten Hot Wheels movies. You heard me right. Back in the day, Hot Wheels actually used to make movies to promote their cars, and these movies were pretty damn good too. So let's talk about them, shall we? The first movie that came out under the Hot Wheels banner was Hot Wheels Highway 35 World Race. This film saw racers get recruited around the world by Dr. Peter Tesla in order to take part in what he was dubbing the World Race. After the drivers had been recruited, they were split into 5 teams. The Wave Rippers, led by the main and antagonist. The dude's the protagonist. The team was led by Vert Wheeler. He's the protagonist, mind you. The Scorchers, led by Taro Kitano. Street Breed, led by Kurt Wilde and then later Dan Dresden. The Road Beasts, led by Banji Castillo, because oh my god, Banji's amazing, and the Dune Rats, led by Brian Kadeen. The race itself was split into not 2 parts, but into like 4 or 5 parts, or different legs of the race, along a track which Tesla dubbed Highway 35. Whichever team could win the final leg of the world race by extracting the Wheel of Power from Highway 35 would win $5 million for each member of their team, so obviously the race was on. This wasn't just any ordinary race though, as these races would be taking place in different dimensions. In order to access these dimensions, you'd need to be going 300 miles per hour, which was obtainable using Tesla's cars provided to the drivers, along with his special booster, Nitrox 2. These dimensions were built by ancient beings called Acceleracers, which is the true ulterior motive to why Tesla wants these drivers to race. Ultimately, it was Vert Wheeler who wins the world race for the Wave Rippers by taking the Wheel of Power out of Highway 35 and bringing it back to Tesla. The Doctor wasn't the only one who wanted to get his hands on the Wheel of Power and understand the Accelerons, however, as an individual by the name of Galorum has paid off Kurt Wilde of Street Breed to race for her in an attempt to steal the Wheel of Power for herself. Once it is brought to light that Galorum and her minions are androids, Kurt has a change of heart and helps to foil her plan. The drivers then return the Wheel of Power, realizing the mantra "Wisdom is a circle," which is entirely philosophical for a kids movie. I love it. What you receive, you must give back. Everything seems fine and everyone goes their separate ways. Vert Wheeler and company get their $5 million, everything's Gucci, until later, but we'll talk about that later. But this film was filled to the brim with high-octane racing, along with the crazy track layouts that stunt drivers can only dream of seeing. This is essentially your wildest fantasy when you were a kid playing with your Hot Wheels, imagining you were in the car doing all of these crazy things and racing in these impossible scenarios. It's because of all of these elements that make this film such a treat to experience, as you see racing at its absolute wildest. The story in itself isn't half bad either, as character arcs and wide ranges of emotions and backstory come into play when they really have no right to. You have a driver that wants to make his dad proud in Vert Wheeler, and along the way he experiences what it's truly like to think of others before yourself. You have a driver that races for the fate of his people in Brian Kadeen, as the prize money would bring much needed food and water to his village and his people. And you also have the cocky foils like Kurt Wilde and Taro Kitano, who have already established themselves as some of the best drivers in the world and don't need to play nice or play by the rules, they just race for themselves. And who could forget the token comic relief Banji Castillo? Oh my god, he's literally the greatest, he is my spirit animal, and my heart always has a special place for Banji. I love the man, he's just absolutely perfect. But with all of these characters meshing with one another in such a high-octane environment, it's only natural to suspend your disbelief a little more than you usually would and just enjoy the ride on this one. And fortunately, that's exactly what I did when I was a kid and didn't attempt to pick apart every little thing in a film before I learned what film was and the art behind it, and oh, times were something much simpler when I was a child. This film is definitely worth a watch, but wait! It also has a sequel. Technically 4. Let's talk about them. Hot Wheels Acceleracers is the sequel mini-movie series to Hot Wheels Highway 35 World Race. That was a weird way to put that in the script. But it takes place 2 years after the drivers return to the Wheel of Power to Highway 35. This time around there are only 4 teams, but only 2 of which are confirmed to be human. The 2 human teams are the Metal Maniacs, which consist of returning characters Taro Kitano and Mark Wilde. Mark is Kurt Wilde's little brother who was on the Wave Rippers team on Highway 35. They're accompanied by some new faces in Torque, Pork Chop, and Monkey, which, amazing names. I love them all. The other human team is called the Teku and consists of returning characters Vert Wheeler and Kurt Wilde, and they're accompanied on their team by Nolo, Shirako, and Karma. Galorum has stolen the Wheel of Power from Highway 35 and has shut down the portals, disabling the wheel from being returned. However, the next test of the Accelerons is the Racing Realms, tracks opened by the Wheel of Power that have specific tests within them related to the driving skills of that specific realm. These skills can range anywhere from driving in the dark, to hydroplaning, to making quick turns, etc. These tracks also grant the winner an item called an Acceleracharger. These Accelerachargers grant drivers and their cars special abilities depending on the racing realm the Acceleracharger was won in. For example, the Acceleracharger that Pork Chop won from the Cavern realm gave Pork Chop's car the ability to shine a bright light in every direction, illuminating darkness. This is due to the fact that the Cavern realm's point is to drive in the dark, so the Acceleracharger would be won by completing that skill for that racing realm. The Accelerachargers can also be used in other realms to help out drivers that are in need of it, so does that all make sense? Through the course of 4 mini-movies, the drivers race against Galorum's new racing drones, the official team name for that team is the Racing Drones, in efforts to win Accelerachargers instead of them. As Tesla fears if the drones gain enough of them, they'll be able to be unstoppable and will be apt to destroy the world. The racing drones aren't the only threat, however, as mysterious entities known as the Silencers, with a Z because they're cool, enter the realm as well. The Silencers have unique abilities on their own without the use of Accelerachargers, as they're often seen camouflaging themselves as other drivers on the track, be it Teku, Metal Maniac, or Racing Drone, or rendering themselves entirely invisible. These threats, combined with more tracks of the impossible kind, culminate into another awesome racing thrill ride that definitely improves on what its predecessor did. We get many more racing realms than we did parts of Highway 35, and we get a deep dive into some characters' motivations and thoughts. Vert has a self-esteem crisis, Pork Chop is afraid of water because his dad drowned in a lake, and oh my god, poor Pork Chop, oh my god, his dad died, Jesus, this is a kid's film. Nolo lost his brother in a racing accident, which they actually show on screen, holy fuck. And Mark Wilde was taken to prison and becoming a big old dick. These movies are awesome. Seriously, these movies are far better than they had any right to be. They could have ended up just like Battle Force 5 on Cartoon Network. And if you don't know what that is, please for your own sake don't go and look it up. It's not canon to these at all, and it sucks. It's literally what Highway 35 and Acceleracers should have been, and thank God for the creators of these 2 entities decided to go above and beyond with their storytelling, because I don't know what I would have done with my childhood otherwise. And honestly, what I've covered here is barely scratching the surface. There is so much more to these movies once you actually sit down and watch them. There's actual continuity. It's amazing. The cars look sick as hell, and Vert's Dior 2 still remains one of my fantasy cars to own in my garage someday. If you've never heard of these movies or never seen them, I inspire you and implore you to go check them out. Hot Wheels doesn't give 2 shits, so you can literally find all 5 movies back to back in one video on YouTube. I've checked, it's been on there for like 5 years. I've watched it like 5 times a year, that same video, since I remembered that this was a thing in my childhood. I won't be providing a link to that video to cover my own ass, but it literally just takes one search and you're there. But do any of you guys remember watching these as a kid? If you did, what did you guys think about them? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. It really does mean the world to me. If you like what you saw here, be sure to subscribe to the channel, and while you're down there, hit that like button and the notification bell to stay updated with the rest of my videos. Thanks, guys, and I'll see you all next time.